said it was so quiet in here. It's almost like a church service. This is a celebration, right? Yes, good morning everyone, and thank you so much for coming out to this exciting event. It's not every day that your community gets $14.3 million in federal funding. That is something to celebrate. I want to make sure we take time to celebrate this, especially before Tom and his crew spends it all. So today we're recognizing a tremendous investment into the safety of our community, into our environmental sustainability, and into the future of our downtown. Liberty Street, as you know it, will be reimagined so all users can comfortably and safely use it as they live, work, and play in the friendly city. This project will not only improve pedestrian and bicyclist infrastructure through the heart of our city, but it will reduce speeds in downtown, making this area safer for all who call it home. It will make our downtown a more desirable and attractive place to be, encouraging everyone to spend more time enjoying the arts, culture, and experiences of Harrisonburg. And it will be a key piece in our growing systems of sidewalks and trails that is allowing pedestrians and cyclists to safely reach more and more areas of our city every day. Now, before I use up all his talking points, I'd like to introduce Harrisonburg Public Works Director Tom Hartman, who can tell us more about this important project and how excited he is to start spending this money. You ready, Tom?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, thank you, Mayor Reed, for introducing our downtown Harrisonburg Streetscape and Mobility Transformation Project, or the Liberty Street Project is what we're going to call it from now. As with most activities in local government, this project started more than 5 years ago. We started by conducting transportation and parking studies to gain an understanding of how downtown was operating and to help us develop strategies for improvement of our downtown. While we undertook those planning efforts, our Economic Development Department partnered with the Urban Land Institute to study the southern portion of downtown to see how we can incorporate a city park into an area just outside City Hall. With the completion of the 2 planning studies and with the influence of the ULI study, again, our Economic Development Department, in partnership with Harrisonburg Downtown Renaissance, began the year-long effort of creating our Downtown 2040 plan. That plan outlined our broad future of downtown and what it could be. The planning effort itself generated thousands of comments and ideas, and the final completed planning document included our Liberty Street project. Once city staff knew that this concept had broad community support and it provided essential community connections between many residential neighborhoods throughout the city, as well as connects the city's growing bike and ped infrastructure, we set out to find means to bring this improvement to the city. And through the hard work of our very talented team at the city, and especially in Public Works, led by Aaron Yancey and Jacob Zumfeldy, and the support of both Senator Kaine and Senator Warner, we were very successful in receiving this RAISE grant of $14.3 million for this project in our city. We are incredibly excited to begin the work on the project, which we've already started early discussions with the Federal Highway Administration on grant agreements, and we're looking forward to bringing this improvement to life in 2027. Thank you.
All right, Tom, the work that you and your team does for the people of Harrisonburg is much appreciated, and you know that. You've done incredible work. The first thing I noticed when I came in, I hope all of you noticed when you came in, is the big sign out there. His team. Thank you so much. Tom, knowing that the people at Harrisonburg Public Works are always thinking about our community safety and how to improve our infrastructure for the betterment of all users is something I know we are all very grateful for. So let's give Tom and his team. So now before I turn the podium over to my friend, Senator Kaine, Let me tell you how happy I am to have him here with us today. Senator Kaine is a friend to not only to Harrisonburg, but to the entire Shenandoah Valley. He has proven this time and time again as he champions our causes in Washington and serves as an incredible ambassador on the national stage for all that we work hard to accomplish here. Senator Kaine believes that health care is a right, not something reserved just for those who can afford it. And he has constantly pushed for reforms to expand access to quality care. This includes legislation to give Americans more options for affordable health insurance and to combat the opioid abuse epidemic. He was first elected to office in 1994, serving as a city council member and then mayor of Richmond. He became lieutenant governor of Virginia in 2002 and was inaugurated as Virginia's 70th governor in 2006. Senator Kaine was elected to the Senate in 2012. Senator Kaine, on behalf of the Harrisonburg City Council and staff, I want to say thank you. You and your colleague, Senator Warner, truly care about our community, and you have made a difference in all of our lives with your tireless work. Your support of our RAISE grant application and of course of our ARPA funding that will be taking place later today, right over there, is helping us shape Harrisonburg into the capital of the Shenandoah Valley. It's protecting and enriching lives in our diverse, growing community. And it is helping us lead the way in Virginia by becoming a city for all, where people feel safe, valued, and have abundant opportunity for that. Senator Kaine, it's always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for coming to Harrisonburg, and we look forward to working with you always.
Thank you. I want to thank the mayor, who is a friend. You will not be surprised to know that once you've been a mayor, you always think of yourself as a mayor, because mayor and city council, and I want to recognize council members and city staff are here too, it's where the rubber meets the road. And people sometimes ask me, you've been a governor and senator, which do you like best? And I always say, you forgot one. Because if I'm good at anything in politics, it's because I was in local government. And basically, once you have been in local government as a councilman, county supervisor, school board member, mayor, you never forget those lessons of accessibility. It's got to be about results. You might be a Democrat, you might be a Republican, you might be an independent, but in local government, people want to see, touch, and feel the results of what you do, and that's the measure, and that should be the measure of elected officials. So it's great to be here with our local officials, and if I could, if you're either on the council or if you're a Harrisonburg or municipal employee, could you just stand up, because I'd like to kind of recognize all of you. Let's give all of these. It takes a village, it takes a team, obviously, and I have a great team here. I want to introduce Elda Stanko-Downey. Some of you know runs my Shenandoah Valley operation, lives in Roanoke. Becca Marsh also works in that office and is here a lot. And there's an intern I just met 5 minutes ago for the first time. I've already forgotten her name. What's your first name?
Krista.
Krista is a Virginia Tech student who's interning with us this summer. Gentry's my executive assistant, works in DC, and then Janine is around somewhere. Janine is my press secretary, so I have a good team with me today too. And as the mayor said, we're here for 2 events. After this, we're going to talk about American Rescue Plan funding that has recently been announced for a number of initiatives in Harrisonburg dealing with mental health. Obviously, a massive priority. I'm on the Health, Education, Labor, Pension Committee. This is something that's really important. But let me focus my attention on this RAISE grant and highlight a couple of things. So one of the wonderful achievements of the last few years, and maybe particularly because I've been a mayor and governor, really passionate about this, is the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Communities, Richmond, Harrisonburg, but any community, kind of, they thrive or they don't upon a foundation or an architecture of smart infrastructure. And when a community, commonwealth, or country underinvests in infrastructure, it has huge consequences for everybody. Infrastructure is about economic growth. Infrastructure is about connecting
people and making their quality of life better. But for a long time as a nation, we weren't really investing in infrastructure in the way that we should. In fact, the bipartisan infrastructure law that was passed and signed at the end of 2021 was probably the biggest infrastructure investment since the Eisenhower administration with the interstate highway system. And it was bipartisan. We figured out a way to fund it for about 7 years. We'll have to, at the end of the 7 years, grapple with, do we continue the funding sources and carry it forward? But by doing that, we have been able to really, do what I think is going to be transformative. Before I get to the RAISE grant, let me give you the kind of big picture of what it means for Virginia. Already, this infrastructure bill has produced for Virginia about $6 billion of infrastructure spending on top of what we normally get. So normally there's a federal infrastructure fund, federal gas tax goes into a fund that's allocated out to states. And that's what the traditional infrastructure funding has been, along with some grant programs, usually not too robust, but occasionally grant programs. But what this bill has done is already produced about $6 billion for Virginia on top of normal allocation. Some of that money, basically the dollars kind of happen in 3 places. Some of the money goes directly to the state, so that the state, through the Commonwealth Transportation Board or the Virginia Department of Transportation, gets to just have more dollars for the projects that are on the to-do list. And each state gets to allocate the dollars in accord with their own priorities. That's some of the dollars. Some of the dollars go to federal agencies that do a lot of infrastructure. So the National Park Service that needs infrastructure upkeep, the Corps of Engineers that does dredging and port work, other federal agencies that have significant infrastructure to uphold. So that's the second chunk of money. And then the third chunk of money is money like this RAISE grant. It was money set aside for competition. So let the best ideas compete and win, and grants are happening every year, and Harrisonburg was a big winner this year. I'll get to it in a minute, because the number of applications this year were 1,100. 163 applications were awarded, 4 of which were in Virginia: Harrisonburg, Herndon, the Eastern Shore, and Chesterfield. So this was a project that had to get through a pretty tough competition, but that's good, because that encourages everybody to be their best and be their most creative. One thing about the Virginia portion, before I really dig into this grant and why I'm so excited to be here, is I mentioned about $6 billion. Of that $6 billion that Virginia has been allocated already, and it'll be more to come every year, about 60% is transportation. So a project like the Liberty Street project, but it's more than transportation. $42 billion of the infrastructure bill was for broadband. And every state was guaranteed at least $100 million, but obviously states could get more. And Virginia has done extremely well on the broadband side. The administration announced about maybe 2 months ago now that Virginia was receiving $1.5 billion of that $42 billion. So if you just do the estimate, that's significantly more than just a 1/50th share. And that's because of the unusual topography in Virginia, the fact that we have an awful lot of places, including either to the east or west of the Shenandoah Valley, where it can be hard sometimes to get to people with broadband. But $1.5 billion for broadband, which is, I see some public safety professionals here, and obviously broadband is necessary for people to access medical care, make sure that they can get an E911 call responded to immediately, access educational material online. So I'm really happy to have been part of this historic infrastructure advancement, and it makes me feel great to come to Harrisonburg and acknowledge this particular project, the Liberty Street project. Okay, now to the project itself. Harrisonburg is smaller than Richmond, but Harrisonburg has some similarities to Richmond, where I live. Big university, center of local and county government. We have the state capital in Richmond, big government, some significant employers, big university. And with success, and Harrisonburg and surrounding county have been successful in attracting people, then you often run into transportation and congestion challenges. And we want to solve those challenges, but solve them in a way that's best for 2030, 2040, you have a 2040 plan. I know the city celebrates the 250th anniversary in 2030, so you're thinking about the past, but really looking to the future. And we want to build a transportation infrastructure that isn't just about can we move more and more cars, although that's important, but we want to build a transportation infrastructure that's good for pedestrians, that's good for cyclists, that's good for public transit. And you have some particular needs here because any university community with a lot of young people, some of whom have cars and some don't, really should have a robust transportation network that gives people a lot of options. And so that's what's so exciting about this. This 5-mile redesigned Liberty Street that will connect many of the government center and the university and churches and places of employment, and allow people to get there by car, get there by public transit, get there by walking or cycling. It's going to be a real improvement in the quality of life here. It's always great to give people transportation options, but to make it easier for people who want to walk or bike, which is good for their health, as a health committee member, you've got to build a transportation infrastructure that gives people pedestrian options too. We're doing that, and I give my Mayor Stoney in Richmond, he's doing a good bit of that. And I've been happy to work on a number of projects like this, both in local, state, and now federal government. Last year, we were able to get funding for the new Shenandoah Rail Trail that's being built, I guess, from Broadway to Front Royal. We were able to get some federal funding for that. One of the other RAISE grant recipients this year, one of the 4, is a scenic rail trail on the Eastern Shore. There's an abandoned rail line that just runs right up the spine of the Eastern Shore that's being converted into a rail trail there. So again, economic development, health, giving people more choices to get to work, get to school, go visit friends. It's really, really exciting. So I just want to encourage Harrisonburg to keep at it. I mean, you demonstrated innovation and creativity. You got through a really tough competition. One of the exciting things about the infrastructure bill is it's funded for multiple years, so there will be RAISE grants next year. Sometimes it can be hard to win one 2 years in a row. One of the things I've noticed is the Secretary of Transportation is no dummy, and if he was good to one community this year, he might focus attention elsewhere next year. But we're going to have opportunities in RAISE grants and other grants, in the congressionally directed expenditures, which we have been able to receive for Harrisonburg in the past. We're going to have other opportunities to continue to partner to take this great community and make it even better in terms of the quality of life that is offered for so many. So congratulations to all of you who worked on this project, and I intend to come out and see it underway and then bike on it one day. As the mayor knows, I'm a huge cyclist. Right outside the door where I live is the Capitol Trail that runs from Richmond to Jamestown, 55 miles, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful both health, recreation, and economic development asset for Richmond and the communities between Richmond and Jamestown. So we'll get out and do a bike ride together when this is open, and I'll really look forward to it. Thank you so much, and congratulations.